Okay, so I got this DLC, Warhammer's The Grim and the Grave, back in Warhammer 1, like all of you. I thought it was cool. I thought there were some cool units until I realized that Creative Assembly did no work on this at all. Now here's the thing. Here's the thing before they get mad at me. They stole so much of this shit. So in the end times, shut up. I don't want to listen to your trailer. Go to heck. All right. In the end times novels, the first novella is Sigmar's Blood, and it's like 80 pages of shenanigans. It's a little dumb. We'll get into that. Welcome to a lore rant. It's just gonna be stupid. So buckle up. Have a good time. So like, Volkmar is running around. Let's find these 18 elite regiments of renown. Where do you find the regiments of renown? There they are. Tattered Souls, Throne's Revenge, Hammer of the Witches, Sigmar's Son, Silver Bullets, Sunmaker, Temple of Luminarch, World of Fights, Zintler's Reichsguard. Those are all of the Empire regiments of renown. Great, those are in the thing. Nowhere in this page does it mention Sigmar's Blood, the book. So then I'm reading this book. I'm like, oh, okay. I wasn't thinking too much of it, but enough rambling. What the? Did you go back to the stupid trailer? Stop playing the fucking trailer. Anyway, sorry. So the story is like, the end times are really hard to follow because there's a bunch of stuff that was written and then rewritten and retconned and all this stuff. Like the Storm of Chaos isn't real, but some of the stuff happened, some didn't. Anyway. So Volkmar and Karl Franz are talking in Altdorf, and it's like, hey, Manfred's a big problem. What are we going to do about that? And Volkmar's like, I'll take him. I'll kill him and Helmengorst. And you're like, oh. Okay, Volkmar's going to go fight Helmengorst. I guess that tracks. And he takes with him, like, literally... He takes with him this. He takes Sigmar's Sons, the Silver Bullets, and the Tattered Souls. Like, this is literally all he takes into Sylvania to take on Manfred von Karstein. Now, note that that's not just meta-knowledge where you're like, well, Human Boy, he doesn't know that Manfred can raise an entire army. Nah, dude, he does. Like, Vlad von Karstein almost took Altdorf with a giant army of undead. Like, it is a known thing. So he's taken 3 units in to fight against Manfred's entire army. I think he also takes the Hammer of the Witches, or he finds it along the way. So great, you have a cannon. This is beyond stupid. He finds a Knights of Blazing Sun unit that comes in from Talea to help him, but still it's like these 5 versus the entirety of the vampire counts. That doesn't seem likely. And even Karl Franz is like, bro, you're gonna die. And Volkmar's like, no, Sigmar! And just walks off. So he's being dumb. And then meanwhile, there's this witch hunter running around who's just witch huntering, and he's like, I want to kill Manfred von Karstein. That sounds great. So Volkmar goes to him for help. And he sends a signal out to the Tempelhof Light Order. There's like 3 light wizards there that built the Tempelhof Luminarch, and they see a signal, and they're like, we need to get a message to Balthazar Gelt and the other colleges of magic so they can help with this hunt for Manfred that Volkmar is going on. But we can't get a signal out. If only we could shine a light bright enough. So they start just firing the Tempelhof Luminarch off into the sky, but it doesn't work because Manfred covered all of Sylvania darkness. So then they go on their own little quest to find a magnifying glass, and it's like, whatever. But the Tempelhof Luminarch's here. It's like, oh, okay, cool. So these 3 light wizards get on the road, and they end up at this bar that the head of the order used to frequent, and they knock on the door of the bar, and they find a bunch of rough and tumble people, a bunch of rough and tumble lads, and they convince him to help them go find the magnifying glass so that they can like kill the undead and get to safety. And those guys go, okay, but we're just a bunch of bar toughs, we need a name. We're Sterlin's Revenge! So there's Sterlin's Revenge, just a bunch of fucking randoms in a bar, an assortment of crew. So that's cool. I'm like, I'm starting to get... Part of me is like, this is neat, and another part of me is like, this is starting to get really annoying how many regiments of renown are just showing up this book. Like, literally every regiment of renown I know before the latest Empire DLC came out and added a bunch more. But yeah, so the Light Wizards go up there. They start getting rocked super hard, and it's not going great. They eventually link up with Volkmar's crew, and Volkmar is losing pretty badly because Helman Gorst on the other side goes and raises the Stearnsman. Like, you get to see the Stearnsman get born. And then Manfred has the Claw of Nagash, which he gives to Gorst to help set up an ambush, and then the Devils of Schwarzhofen are offering some support too. So again, it's just like, this one isn't as egregious because I didn't see the Tithe or the Königstein Stalkers or the Chill Geist anywhere, but it was getting a little annoying how many regiments were around from this fucking DLC were all just in this one novella. And it's a novella too. How many pages even is it? Let me find it here. I'm just scrolling through it real fast. It's 103 pages. So in 103 pages, they're just like, Regiment of Renown, Regiment of Renown. There's a Regiment of Renown, because I'm not even to all of them yet. There's a Regiment of Renown per 10 pages that shows up. Not even per 8. Every 8 pages, there's a different Regiment of Renown from this DLC that shows up. So anyway, Volkmar and his lads are pretty tattered. They run into Sterling's Revenge and the Light Wizards, and they're having a back-to-back, and they barely fight back Manfred, and Manfred runs away into the distance, back towards his castle, where he can, raise an army, and they're super depleted at this point. Like, this was already some bullshit to take out all of Sylvania, but they're, like, super depleted. And then over the horizon, some guy walks up, like, I'm not even kidding, some guy walks up with the Sunmaker, like, just walks up with it, like, it's super quick in the book. It's just like, hey, we found this guy, and he has this Hellstorm rocket battery. And Volkmar's like, I've seen those before. They're unreliable. And he's like, trust me, sir. You're going to like this one. And it says Sunmaker on the side. And you're like, it's the Sunmaker, but also, why? And it hardly even fires. I think in the battle where they finally use it, it fires like once, and then they just ignore it. And it's like, was that worth the cameo? But whatever. But over the mountain, over the hills, to their aid rides Zintler's Reichsguard and the Royal Altdorf Griffites, and you're like, holy shit! But then when they get closer, it says I think it's Hans Zintler is his name. Anyway, it's Zintler and like 4 Reichsguard. Not 4 Reichsguard unit, like 4 horses with guys on them. And then the Royal Altdorf Griffites, it's just 2 Demigriff Knights. And that's all that's left of these regiments of renown, and I'm like, again, Volkmar, you're about to fight, like, Manfred von Karstein and all of Sylvania's undead armies. And your reinforcements are 5 of Zentler's Reichsguard, 2 Royal Altdorf Griffites, and 1 Sunmaker model. And you're like, yeah, that'll turn the tide. What are you doing? The Tattered Souls are, like, a quarter HP at this point. Sigmar's Sons are, like, half HP. The Silver Bullets were full. They were fine and dandy. Sterling's Revenge was hanging on by a thread. Temple of Luminark was full health, and the Hammer of the Witches was fine. But, like, Volkmar's like, yeah, we can do it! And he charges in, and he gets his shit completely rocked. Like, Helman Gorst is a big problem, though the Witch Hunter actually, I think, kills Gorst. Barely. Anyway, doesn't matter. Actually, kind of does matter that Gorst dies. That was really sudden. It was just like, yeah, Gorst is dead. But, yeah, no, Volkmar's army gets rolled, and he gets captured by Manfred, so all the regiments of renown you see on your screen are dead. Maybe later in the book it'll say, like, they fled or something, because I'm now... Where am I at? I'm a third of the way through the Rise of Nagash. So it hasn't mentioned anything of Volkmar's failed crusade, it just mentions that Volkmar's captured. But, like, Jesus, dude. I don't know what you expected to happen. This one I won't shit on for being, like, bad writing. It was fine writing. It was a novella. It was a fun little read. But the 2 things I will say is, 1, Volkmar's plan sucked ass, and he got exactly what he deserved, because that was a really stupid idea. And 2, whoever made that DLC just read this novella and was like, fuck it, all those units. Just throw them all in there. That's our DLC, boys. We don't even have to think about it. What do you want for the vampire counts? I don't know. Helman Gorst. Which now, back in the day, there was that Warhammer 1 anger that why Helman Gorst? There's so many cooler DLC people like Neferata. Yes. I think Neferata should be in the game, and it's criminal the Vampire Counts haven't gotten a second DLC, like, ever. That's messed up. But when you wanted to pair someone with Volkmar, I get Helmengorst, especially if they're just reading Sigmar's Blood, just this little novella, and stealing every unit they can from it. If that's the case, then yeah, I get why you picked Gorst. Makes sense. He actually fought Volkmar and lost, but like, I also take your point that Neferata definitely should have come out by now. Why? Why did Helmengorst come out and then like 5 or 6 years later we still don't have Neferata? That seems pretty stupid. But the Claw of Nagash's entrance was pretty cool. I'll say that because it's one of the things they need to get Nagash back to life. So Manfred is collecting it, but they just talked about this like, hey, we have Nagash's withered hand on top of a chariot. That's pretty cool. And anybody who gets near it, their flesh just like melts off their bones. So neat. And Volkmar is like a Super Saiyan, by the way. They don't do him justice in this game where it's like, ooh, his Grand Hammer Sigmar gives 24 melee attack and Soulfire Bombardment's kind of cool. It's like, nah, this dude was using ninja hands that were glowing, and like everybody he touched got thrown really far away from him. And there was these... So at one point, Helmengorst raised a bunch of giant swamp alligators from the dead, and like giant. Like Volkmar could fit inside their mouths. And he just walks into the water and pushes his glowing hands in the water, and then all of them disintegrate to nothingness. It was kind of badass. So, yeah. Volkmar's just bald Goku. And he still gets his ass rocked by Manfred because you don't just walk into Sylvania with, like, less than 100 guys and hope it goes well. Come on, dude. Alright, that's all I had. It was just kind of a funny little rant, so hopefully you got a kick out of it. Goodbye forever. Roar. Subscribe, yes.